Heyo guys, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to be a god at sniping people in Minecraft with the bow. Using the bow in Minecraft is more complicated than you probably think it is. There are more factors you should know that is very useful to improve your overall bow accuracy. Also, sorry if I was not able to post a video last week, since this video took way longer than I expected to make, and I was pretty detailed with each explanation of things. Before we get started though, I would very much appreciate if you guys would subscribe to my channel and like my videos, as it really helps me out. And I mean, I only have like a few subs, and I want to get a decent amount of attention on YouTube. So yeah. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, so first, I will be explaining factors that you need to know in order to get a better understanding of bowing. You probably did not consider these before you watched the tutorial when you were using a bow, but in order to get better, I would really recommend to know these factors. These are estimation and prediction. Only two, but these two factors leads to more things that makes it more complicated, in my opinion. In my opinion, this is all bowing is about, but it's more complicated. Not too complicated though. Now, I'll be explaining both of these factors in detail. Now, let's talk about estimation. Estimation is knowing the best possible circumstances of your bow in order to get a good hit on the target. And the circumstances that I am talking about are the charge of your bow, like the pull, like how powerful you're pulling it, and how high or low you have it aimed to compensate for drop-off distance. To get a good estimation though, the factors that you will need to consider are the distance/height between you and the target you are shooting. Only two factors, some might say this is even just one. But this impacts estimation drastically. It is because the more farther they are, the more higher you'll have to aim to compensate for the drop-off distance, and the more closer they are, the less you'll have to aim higher. This also goes with the height, as the more higher they are from you, the higher you have to aim, and the lower they are from you, the less you have to aim higher. This also ties in with how powerful the bow's charge is. If they're farther, the more you'll have to charge the bow, and the more near they are from you, the lesser you have to charge the bow. Now let's talk about prediction. Prediction is knowing where your enemy will accurately be and using estimation to get a hit. I will be talking about factors in order for you to get a better understanding of prediction. These factors are how fast and how erratic their movement is. Like if they're strafing often and all that. And if there are anything in the way, mainly blocks. How fast and how erratic their movement is affects how accurate your prediction will be, because the more faster they are moving, the more you have to adjust to adapt to the faster speed of the target. How erratic their movement is, which means if they're strafing in random directions and all that, will also affect your prediction because their movement can confuse you and can be harder to adapt to. Things in the way can also affect prediction, but only a little. If there's anything in the way, you might not be able to shoot at all since they'll take cover in that, or your arrow might hit that object and to avoid it, you have to adjust further. Now I'll be talking about the tips and tricks for getting good with the bow, which is probably the part that you are waiting for the most. So let's get started. Tip 1. Finding the optimal spot. Finding the optimal spot to shoot from can help you in many ways, and I'll explain why. First, I'll be telling you what makes an optimal spot an optimal spot. A good height and a good distance away from the target, has a clear view, and has almost no cover or even no cover, which is the best scenario for the target. A good height and distance will allow you to get a good estimation and make predictions a lot easier too. And can also make your aim easier since they won't be a smaller target. A clear view gives you a better understanding with the terrain, and so that you know what the target is doing and where they're going. And a place with almost no cover will give you a better chance of hitting them. And if they have blocks though, then wait until they stop cowering behind that, and that is when you'll shoot. Tip 2. Waiting for the perfect moment. Waiting for the perfect moment with the bow is a very important thing to do. You do not want to shoot early or too late, as both could make you miss, even if you're early or late by just a tiny bit. To get a good sense of this, you have to have more bow sense, which is just experience with the bow, which is a tip that I will be explaining more later. Remember about what I said about being patient in using the bow? Well, this mostly does not apply if you're in a bow fight. Sure, there might be some times where you have to be patient. Like for example, if your enemy is running away and you're trying to finish them by knocking them to the void, but you have to be patient in order to get a good shot. This is in Skywars, by the way. But mostly, you have to act fast. You have to be fast at estimating and predicting to get an accurate hit and pressure the opponent. To have fast estimation and prediction, you'll need bow sense, which like I said, I'll be explaining more later. Tip 4. Dodging and taking less damage in a bow fight. In a bow fight, you would want to take less damage as much as possible to avoid getting pressured. And there are two ways to do this without taking cover, if you don't want to take cover. Blocking with your sword is the first way, and the second way is bow strafing. I don't know if there's another name for bow strafing that I just am not aware of, but I'm pretty sure this is what it's called. Blocking is very good, as it reduces half the damage that you were originally about to get with the bow. When you should block though, are times when you're vulnerable to getting shot. Like if the enemy pulled their bow out first, but you're still preparing to draw the bow, they'll shoot you first. So what you want to do in this situation is to block instantly. Just click on your sword slot and press right click. You can do this in like a millisecond. It can save you more hearts and healing, as if this keeps happening, the damage will build up until you're low. Another way of doing this is bow strafing. Although you are more vulnerable than blocking, and you should still use blocking when you are vulnerable to getting shot without your bow in your hand yet. Bow strafing is when you shoot, then after you shoot, you jump to the side, like strafe to the side and jump, then you shoot again, then you just repeat it. You can do it in random directions too. I would do this a lot in a bullfight because you can get more hits on the target than they can on you because you're strafing around, which makes you harder to hit. No need to do this though. If you're shooting someone who isn't fighting back, you won't get hit anyways. This will need fast estimation and prediction though. And you get that by bow sense. We'll talk about it later. Tip 5, cover. This is probably the shortest tip here. In this tip, I'll be explaining what to do if your enemy is in cover, and if you're in cover. So if you're in cover, you would wanna sometimes peek out and shoot because you can't shoot if you're behind cover all the time, or jump then shoot. If they're in cover, if you're higher than the object they're cowering behind, or it's just 2 blocks tall, jump and shoot, or wait for the perfect moment, usually when they jump to shoot or peek. This also applies if you're both in cover. Tip 6, bow sense. This is the most important tip of all. Bow sense is knowing the good to perfect height to aim at and the best possible charge to use a bow, which depends on the factors that I talked about earlier on my explanation of estimation and prediction. So if you didn't listen, go back there, because this is extremely important. An example where you need to heavily rely on bow sense is when you want to start a combo on an approaching enemy, but you don't have a rod, so you use a bow instead. But remember, the enemy is approaching, and when he gets near, he'll combo you. So you need to know the perfect charge and the perfect height to hit him with the bow before he does and start a combo. And another example is that in long range snipes, you'll need to know the best estimation and prediction possible to get a hit, and you get better at that with bow sense. But how do you get good bow sense? Well, it's just by playing the game. When you play more, you will get a better understanding of estimation and prediction, and its factors, like the charge and the height you need to aim from. Trust me. I don't know how to explain it, or how to get better at the bow. You just get better. I'm speaking from experience here, and a lot of people may say the same thing. Just practice bow duels or whatever. Any game that involves a bow. Skywars, UHC, whatever. But I would recommend playing bow duels more, because like involves bow more than other games. So yeah, this is the only way you'll get better at bowing. It's not some 30-second magic trick that can make you instantly a god at sniping. So yeah guys, that is it for today. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate if you would subscribe and like my videos, as it really helps out, and I worked extremely hard on this tutorial. It took me so much time, and it had so much information that I simplified it more. So yeah, have a good day guys, bye.